So one question that we got, hey, stop, man. One question we got about headbutts a lot was how do you actually train headbutts? Is that a real thing that you train for? In this video, I'll show you kind of how we train headbutts, and I'll answer the question whether or not you should train headbutts. You probably shouldn't. Do you train headbutts? How do you train headbutts? You don't train headbutts the same way you train other strikes. Like you should not headbutt the bag. Like, you shouldn't do that. I'm not gonna say that I never have, but if I'm thinking of like a certain combo that involves a headbutt, I can't say I haven't walked over here and hit the bag with it, but that's not really useful. You only have so many brain cells. You can't condition your brain to take punishment. Every time you smash your head into something, it's taking some of that meter away. You can train it on the pads. Now, if you're a Lethwei fighter, if you've watched any of like Dave LeDuc's content, he's like, he's hitting the pads. Holding pads for headbutts is possible. We don't do it that way for self-defense purposes. What we do is we allow the person to headbutt the pads. So he's gonna hold them. We're doing a bare knuckle thing. I need to back off some of the power anyway. And again, this is for in a self-defense context, not professional bare knuckle fighters that fight with headbutts like Lethwei. We're talking like we go touch, touch, touch. I see a headbutt opening. Bing, bing, bing. Like that. He lets me come to the pad. You can use, any kind of punch mitts. We use like these. I like these for headbutts because they sort of are similar in size and shape and targeting for someone's face, for that sort of thing. You can train headbutts with a partner as long as they've consented to it. But in a minute, I'm going to show you how to train headbutts with a partner that has not consented to it. Bear with me. It usually looks like this. We do this. I kind of show a headbutt, or boom, boom here. Show a headbutt. You have to know the person and trust the person. You can go real slow. And this is when we agreed to it. Another way you could do it is say Nate gets a good clinch position, right, whatever he has like this. And I know that he wants to practice his headbutts. I'll give him a hand like this. He can touch like that. Or you can use your own hand. I could get my clinch position. I put my hand on there and I'll headbutt my own hand or my own arm. Or sometimes you can target the shoulder. You can do like this and just headbutt the shoulder. And that sort of signifies these would have been headbutts to the face. But you can practice headbutts with a partner that has not agreed to it, and I'm going to show you how. So those guys that go to like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, even though they're really an MMA fighter and they're not interested in learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they do like dumb stuff, like they get to a position, right? And when they get to the position, they're like fake strikes, right? And this guy's just at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. He didn't come to MMA class. Don't be that guy. I'm not saying that while he's not ready to train headbutts that I'm going to signify headbutts. But if I get to a position, right, and I get to whatever kind of position that I want to be in, I can think about headbutts. And that's a form of training. Visualization is a form of training. If I get to here and I'm doing ground and pound, he's covering up, and I do like this, I can visualize that headbutt, but don't air headbutt a person. That's the same as the jackasses that do this stuff in jiu-jitsu class. Same in standing. If we were sparring, and I'm like this, I could just think about headbutts. Don't actually throw them at unsuspecting partners. Speaking of visualization, the most powerful training tool in all martial arts and combat sports is your solo practice, your shadow boxing. That's when you do your visualization. Throw your combos, build the headbutts into the combo in a place that makes sense, and you can visualize it. You don't need to practice with a lot of impact. You don't need to throw it really hard. Headbutts don't require a lot of juice on them. So when you're shadow boxing, it's just something to think about. The more you can visualize it in training, maybe it'll materialize under stress. But if you never practice it, it probably won't. But I wouldn't shadow box this in like an MMA gym or anything like that. They're going to think you're a loser or a dork. I mean, I would do it, but don't you do it. Don't go in an MMA gym and be like, look what I'm practicing. I saw it on Hard to Hurt. Like, do this. Practice your headbutts by yourself. Now, to answer the question of whether or not you should train headbutts? Here's how to test if you should train headbutts. If you do violence professionally and plan to encounter people who are proficient at violence. An example of that would be a police officer, military, a security guard, correctional officer, something like that. If you're going to have to fight a dude and he might be good at fighting, you might want to know a headbutt or two. You'll need that edge because just knowing how to wrestle or just knowing how to box might not be good enough. If the guy knows how to fight, you come get me. If he's strong and big and he knows how to fight, I might need some other tools in the toolbox. Because if I'm fighting a dude, maybe he never wrestled, but maybe he inherently knows he needs to get control of my hand, or he needs to get an underhook, or he needs to get whatever. I need to know how to headbutt in order to get those distraction moments or something like that. So if you plan to do violence and you plan to do violence against people who might be good at violence, that's when you need to train headbutts. But for most people, it's sort of way past that point of diminishing returns. You just be better off like boxing and wrestling. Now, if you want more fitness tips, self-defense, do you want to say it?
No, I'm good. Sorry.